welcome back to Book Chat. I'm Mandy Greaves and today my guest is Anna Kerrigan. Anna's going to be talking to me about the hugely successful novel Normal People by Irish writer Sally Rooney. But before we hear about this book, I'd just like to say welcome to Anna.
Thank you.
Right now, I must admit, Anna, I haven't read this one and I hadn't heard anything about it until I started doing a bit of research, and I see they've made it into a series on Stan. So that's
which I binge watched during lockdown.
So that's really piqued my interest. But before we talk about the novel, let's just introduce you. So could you just tell people a little bit about what you do here at the Diocese?
Okay, so I run Aspire, which is the performing arts program for the Diocese. So we do a large-scale production every year, and I also work in with whichever schools need some help creatively, basically.
Okay, so reading, have you always been a reader, or is it something you've come to later in life?
No, I've always enjoyed reading. I think I go through ebbs and flows with how much I actually get to read, but I've always got sort of 5 books on the go. So yeah, it's something, I find it's something that I do now when I'm waiting for my children to go to sleep.
Okay.
I sort of will go and then sit and read a book. So I'm just at a different, can remove myself and there's no noise, and that's kind of my 20 minutes a day.
Has this enforced isolation helped you to read more, and has what you've been reading helped you with the isolation?
I wouldn't say I read a lot more. My brother sent me a care package of books, and I've sort of found myself going back to books that I've read before and that are quite heartening, like things like Pride and Prejudice, and just things that I know inside out that I can just enjoy and not, So I suppose as a method of escapism from the realities of everything, it's been something that I have utilised.
Okay, good. So let's talk about Normal People. The genre, basic plot. So
it's a contemporary love story, and I sort of make that face because the relationship, the course of true love never does run smoothly, but it's basically the 2 protagonists who sort of see all these miscommunications between each other, and so it's very modern in the way that they break up, they get back together, they're on again, they're off again, and they're not putting a label on it, so they're sort of together, but they're not actually telling people that they're together, and so in that sense, I would say contemporary love story is probably the best way of describing it in terms of genre. But then within that, there are so many other themes like mental health and well-being and social standing and just the struggle to be normal or to try and find yourself in today's world, I guess. So you've got 2 protagonists, Connell and Marianne, and they meet in a small town. They go to school together, and then the story just sort of follows them throughout university and just follows their relationship and how it develops.
Okay, so it sounds like it is a very emotional book. So did it make you cry, gasp, shout, want to throw something when you were reading it? Like, how did it impact on your mood? Yeah,
all of the above. I think because it's particularly at the beginning of the book, that first love, and it's the writing feels very intense. She's really captured that sort of need to have this person emotion of first love, and so I found that really emotional to sort of revisit, thinking about my own sort of first love experience, and there are some moments in the book where it did actually pull audible sort of no from me. At one point he does something, I don't want to spoil it, but he basically really, really lets her down in this awful way that only a teenage boy, I think, which is awful, but he doesn't take her to the formal. And it was this moment of soul crushing. What are you doing? You love her. Why are you not taking her? And there's a few moments like that throughout the book where you sort of see this mistake happening, and you know, it just really strikes a chord with you. I think because the characters are so relatable, so we've all been there.
Excellent. So sometimes a book makes us want to visit a place. Is there anywhere that the book wanted you to go? Or the book
so Ireland, I think I'm from the UK, but I only ever visited Dublin once. And so I think that it starts in a small rural town and then it moves to Dublin. And I'm a big fan of a lot of Irish writers. So I think it's just cemented that dream that I have to just go and travel around Ireland and immerse myself in its culture.
Excellent. So apart from our two main characters, who seems like they dominate the story, are there any interesting minor characters in the book? And maybe it would have been different if the author had explored them in more detail.
So you've got these two mother characters, so Marianne's mother and Connell's mother. Marianne's from a very affluent family, and Connor's mother had him when she was 17. He doesn't know his dad, a lower socioeconomic bracket. And in terms of emotional well-being or emotional strength, I guess, Connell's mother's kind of up here. Marianne's mother, is almost emotionally abusive towards her daughter. So I think to see this positive sort of single parent who has a positive relationship with her son as well, that really resonated with me. And at one point she calls him on being an idiot and gets out of the car and isn't afraid to say, do you know what, that's not okay what you're doing. And I really respect that. That's I suppose as well, because that's the kind of parent I'd like to be to my boys. So I always enjoy it when I find characters like that.
Good. So if you got to meet Sally Rooney and could ask her one question about this book that you need answered, what would it be?
Not really about the story, but just about her process. I think as somebody who writes myself, it's always really interesting to hear how an idea started. So I'd be really interested to know does it come from personal experience, or is it just something that just came to you? How did you start the story, and then how did it form from there? I'm always interested to hear that from writers.
Okay, good. So last two questions. First one, was the book a marathon or was it a sprint? Did you race to the end or was it a slow, hard slog?
Oh, it was a sprint. I read it in 2 days. It was, had to read it, had to finish it.
Excellent. And the final question, 1 star, it was a complete waste of your time, you don't recommend it, or 5 stars, it was really impactful, it's a flawless, remarkable book that everybody should read?
I don't think anything is flawless, but I would go 4 3/4. Like it's up there, it's with my favourites, but yeah, I never give out a 5.
All right, excellent, Anna. I think I'm going to have to read it and maybe binge it on Stan. So thank you very much for chatting with me. Goodbye.
My pleasure. Thank you. Bye.